Good evening and welcome to tonight's meeting of the Nashua Board of Education's Human Resources Committee at the Nashua High School Boardroom. It is the 30th day of October and it is 5:47 and I'm calling this meeting to order. I will begin with a roll call for attendance. Is someone going to do the roll call or?
Sharon Giglio,
Here.
Paula Johnson,
Present.
Dottie Oden.
Here.
Also in attendance, we have Jen Bishop, we have Heather Raymond, we have me and Jessica Brown taking notes, we have Dr. Andrade and Mr. Baus, and Mr. Harley, our student representative.
Okay, we have really just one item on tonight's agenda, and that is the Human Resources Update. I can share this information with everyone, right? Okay, so thanks to Mr. Baus for informing us of the job openings that we have. Tonight, we still have 123 openings. 34 of those are teachers, 12 at elementary, 15 at middle, 7 at high school. We have paras, 50 openings, which I'm going to speak about in a few minutes. Food service, 20. Plant operations, 16, which includes custodial maintenance, security monitors, and crossing guards. And we have 1 administration opening, an HR specialist, and we have 2 secretarial openings. We do not have any personnel recommendations for tonight. So we're going to have a very short meeting. Mr. Baus, is there anything else you'd like to add to that report that you sent us?
Yes, I would like to add that we did just recently hire an HR specialist. She will be starting on, I believe it's the 16th, 2 weeks, 2 Mondays. So that one admin role can now be 0.
That's great. Does anyone else have anything they want to say before I give a little story of my life to everyone watching? We don't have to accept resignations, just, okay. So I've had an opportunity over the last month for different reasons to talk about the issue of the job openings that we have, which is, of course, is present on all of our minds. And I don't know if everyone watching knows this about me, but I never intended to end up in education. I did not start there. I had 2 other careers, completely different careers. And it so happened that when both my children were finally in school all day, I had the time to volunteer at New Searles School where they attended, and so I was helping in the library. And they had a few shortages of paras at the time, and the principal asked me a couple of times, would I consider just trying it? It was only halfway through the year, you know, from December to June. And I thought, well, it'll be different. So I did, and I actually found it very rewarding. I worked part of the time in the library and part of the time in classrooms helping children who needed someone to assist them with the tasks that they were working on. What surprised me then was after about 1.5 years, I thought, I really do love this job, but I think I want more of a career. And so I went to graduate school and became a school librarian. And that was a huge move for me, was of my 3 careers, was definitely the happiest one I've ever had. And here I am today on the Board of Education, someone who never expected to be in education. So I just think that if some of you listening are thinking, you know, maybe I should give it a try. It's really great because you're working the same hours that your children are in school. You can just contact HR. I'm sure they'd be happy to accommodate you. And so it might be something that never occurred to you, but maybe you should think about it a little bit. Thank you. Is there anything else anyone would like to add? Then I'm looking for a motion to.
Motion to adjourn.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Welcome, everybody. I am calling to order this Board of Education meeting. It is October 30th, and it is 6:00 p.m. We are in the Nashua North Boardroom. Ms. Lamphere, can you do the roll call?
Sure. Ms. Darling?
Here.
Ms. Raymond? Here. Mr. Claffey?
Here.
Ms. Brown?
Here.
Ms. Oden?
Here.
I'm here. Ms. Johnson?
Present.
Ms. Bishop?
Here.
And Ms. Giglio?
Here.
And we have our student board members, Warren?
Here.
And Dante?
Here.
And we also have Dr. Andrade, Mr. Posca, Mr. Donovan, and our high school principals.
Guys, after you do the prayer, Christina, can you lead us in the pledge?
Almighty God, we have the high honor and the serious duty of managing the educational institutions of our beloved city. In our common endeavors, may we find a spirit of unity and understanding, which will enable us to face our multiple problems with an objective mind, with justice and charity for all, so that any and all decisions made by us will be for the betterment and greater happiness of all of our fellow citizens. Amen.
Thank you for that. All right, so this brings us up to, we have our presentation tonight, which our principals are in the hot seat, so I'm putting two and two together that you guys are hosting this part of it.
All right. Thanks for having us. We were asked to kind of just come back to the board and speak about competencies. So haven't been here. We actually looked. It's been about 10 years since the last time we presented on competencies, and we've been doing the work since 2008. So kind of getting things moving forward, and I feel like we're in a pretty good spot. We definitely have some pieces that we want to revisit and go from there. But we'll kind of take you through a little bit of the journey and what things are all about at the high school. So basically, the reason why we grade in a competency-based system is ED 306, which basically sets the minimum standards for school approval. And through that, we have to award credit through competencies for all public high schools in the state of New Hampshire. So basically, the state charges the districts with coming up with a couple different things to identify and develop course competencies. So a lot of our work, beginning back in 2008, was dedicated towards developing our initial competencies. Then we had to develop our curriculum, come up with some competency assessments for those, and then determine what level of competence it was necessary to prove in order to give students credit. Sorry. So over the course of the 8 to 10 years that we've been working on this, we've had to go back and revisit some of the competencies in each of the courses. Some courses might have started out with 3 competencies, all the way up to 5. And then we've kind of gone back and determined what might be necessary in each of the courses. So some of that had 5 might only have 3 now. Some might only have 4. And basically, we've also had some that have moved from looking at a standards-based more to a skills-based. I think almost all of our courses now at this time are going based off of skills and then embedding the course content through those skills to maintain consistency throughout as students move and progress from Algebra 1 through AP Calc. And here's just what the state basically defines competency as: the ability of a student to apply their content knowledge and skills in and across a content area. So that's basically what we've been kind of working towards. And as we've gone through, we're trying to just develop our assessments, determine whether we are really assessing what we think we're assessing, making sure that we are helping our students prove competence throughout their journey. Mr. Richard?
Thanks, Nate. So what is the purpose of a grading and reporting system? So essentially it's communication, sharing with the student, sharing with the parents, sharing with the teacher about academic progress that students are making. And that is our goal with our competency-based grading system, is to report out to students so they can take the feedback and perform better. When you think about all the ways we communicate student performance to students and parents, there are many ways. There's electronic methods through, email, through the parent portal. There's also still in-person meetings, parent-teacher conferences, phone calls, things like that. So when you look through this, we have progress reports, report cards that get published to X2. There are many ways that as a school we try and communicate with our students and our parents about their academic progress as they are moving along in each of our courses. When we went to competencies, some things changed, but some things look very similar to when we were in school. We still use a letter system. A+ to C- would be a passing grade. If students have not yet achieved a C minus, they would receive an in progress grade on their competency score. It's just they're continuing to show progress towards it. They're just not there yet. And no evidence would be the students didn't hand in the assessment. There's no evidence that the teacher can show if they demonstrated an understanding of it, or they were asking for X and they got Y, and there's just a clear disconnect there. So those are the letter grades that our students would see on their assignments, but also as overall grade, which we're going to get to. We also added levels of proficiency. So you see like an A is a proficient with distinction, B proficient, C partially proficient, and those are our levels for earning credit. And we had descriptive language added to those different levels as well. So how do you earn credit? Pretty rudimentary, but a student has to receive a C minus in each of their course competencies in order to earn credit. So we created this little flow chart when we started. So if you earned a C minus in all of your course competencies, the answer is yes, you earn credit, you move on. If the answer is no, now we got to dig a little deeper. Did they earn a C minus or higher on at least half? If the answer is yes, then they can just focus on which competency they did not score a C minus or better. If it's more than 50% of the course, then we feel they need to retake the course. They missed the majority of the material, and it probably would benefit that student to retake the course for credit. Our report card's changed. A lot of information gets sent out every 45 days or so. Here you would see teacher's name at the top. This is a semester course. And then you see the FG, that's the final grade. So that does not get populated until the course is over. So here you'll see the teacher's name, quarterly scores. So for this course, it was an English class at the time. We use this example. Their competencies were reading, writing, speaking, and listening, inquiry. And there's also a formative assessment category there. So as students progressed on their assessments, teachers were scoring them based on those competencies. And you can see progress report 1 would have been what we would consider a first report card, right? But those grades aren't etched in stone at this time. You continue your progress, and the grade does not stick per se until the course ends. You can see that we also have 21st century school-wide competencies, problem solving, communication, citizenship, and responsibility, which we report out on. And a section for teacher comments where teachers can write personal narratives to students. To be honest, that's one of the areas of the report card that our students have reported most, that they loved having that little personal touch from teachers, where before, and I was there, you'd almost have a pattern. I'd circle 6, 52, 12. You know what I mean? It was like calling a football play. Keep up the good work. Pleasure to have in class. Shows positivity. You know what I mean? And so it's a nice personal touch we've added with this report card.
One of the things that we did as we were making this transition is separating academics, so how you're doing in math class, versus some of the non-academic factors, like the problem-solving, communication, citizenship, showing up to class on time, those types of things that are non-academic. There's still a purpose behind them. We still want students to be able to perform and prove that they're able to get to class on time, do the work on time, communicate with their partners, and go through there. However, some students might take a little bit longer to get to the end product. And that's, I think, the beauty of a competency system, is that we want our students to learn, continue to make progress towards the academic piece at the end of the semester. And as long as they get there at the end, it's great. So this school-wide 21st century competencies that were set up, we actually had a group of students from Student Voice at both North and South help us to develop these, along with some teacher groups, to determine what some of these factors might be. And as we move forward with the Portrait of a Learner, we're now revisiting these school-wide 21st century competencies to make the conversion towards that Portrait of a Learner. And a lot of these skills we're going to see are going to have some crossover and might find their way back into what's being developed at this time. And as Keith said, we've got basically 4 different levels: so exceeding, meeting, progressing, and beginning. The intent at the time is to have students and teachers have conversations about where they see themselves in these areas, to again have that feedback and to be able to work towards meeting the expectations or even exceeding the expectations as they move from grades 9 through 12. want me to do this one?
Yeah,
All
sure.
right.
You're close.
I'm here anyway. So Keith went through earlier and just talked a little bit about what the report card might look like. So here's what a student or a scenario would look like if a student received or to get an F. So basically, to get an F, a student has not achieved a C- or better in the majority of their course competencies, so 50% of the course competencies. So you can see here, student has 3 course competencies, course competency 1, 2, and 3. They received an IP in 2 of those 3 competencies and a C- in the other. So therefore, they're going to get the grade of an F in that course and would be required to retake the course. They're not eligible for post-course recovery. You also see in there formative assessment. So formative assessments do carry a weight. However, they don't need to meet a C- or better in that category. They could have no evidence in there. As long as their other 3 course competencies are good and are passing, they're able to maintain credit. So a formative assessment would be things like homework or classwork. They may not need to do those. Some students are capable of being able to go in and take the test at the end of the semester and ace it. So they didn't need the practice that other students might have needed in order to get to that point. However, in this course here, formative assessments are weighted at 20%. So instead of maybe getting that A+, now they're looking at maybe getting a B or B- because they didn't do that other coursework that was an integral component of the course. And here's a scenario that would grant them an NC. So an NC does make them eligible for post-course recovery. So you have course competency 1 and 2 are passing. Course competency 3, they received an IP in progress. So they haven't quite demonstrated enough knowledge in order to gain that C- or better. So that student would then be eligible to go through course competency recovery and make up that 1 competency. So here they would have to go in and work on course competency 3. Once they prove competence, they're able to move that grade up to a C- as a maximum. So they can't go back to post-course recovery and get that competency up to an A. The maximum grade that they can get in post-course recovery would be a C- in there. And then that would get averaged in along with their other course competencies and potentially formative assessments. And then that would provide their overall grade for the course. And then they would not have to go back and retake that full course.
So the way parents can access this information is our parent portal provides a lot of information. Students are in this almost daily, so they know how to access it pretty well. Dante's shaking his head over there. Yep, he probably gets an alert if something goes. He wouldn't get anything low anyways. But here, if you're a parent, you logged in, you want to go to the academics tab, and this will give you live term performance as of that date, right? So as long as the grades, everything's in, updated, that is what their score would be. And here you can see the student is doing pretty well, but they do have an NC in biology. So what a parent would want to do is probably dig a little deeper to why do they have an NC in biology? And if you clicked on that little blue biology that's highlighted, it brings you to the class tab. And here we can see that the student's doing pretty well at formative assessment. They're doing well in summative patterns, summative solutions, but one competency is where they're struggling. Summative computational thinking here in science. And if you went to the assignment tab, you could see that this student, there was 2 assessments in the first quarter here where the teacher was assessing computational thinking, where there's no evidence in an IP. The teacher, if I was a parent, I'd probably ask, all right, the IP, you struggled, the NE, what happened there? You know what I mean? And that'd be a great conversation to have with your child, with your student. And then again, reaching out to the teacher, staying after school, e-block, things like that would be a perfect time to get caught up and figure out what's going on. But there's a lot of information in there, so you can go from overall course grade to each competency grade to each assignment grade as well with a few clicks.
So we've talked a little bit or a lot about post-course recovery or focused more on that, but we also have in-course recovery available in our classes. So basically, if a student, like the one on the previous screen showed, that they might be struggling on a couple of different assignments or in one particular competency, in-course recovery allows the student to work with the teacher during the semester or during the quarter or year, depending on the course, to go back and kind of figure out what they need to do in order to prove themselves in that competency. So they kind of work to develop a recovery plan. It could be that the student didn't do any formative assessments. Maybe they thought they could go in and take the test and they failed that test. Well, the teacher might say, hey, look, you failed the test, but it's because you didn't do any of your homework or your classwork. So I don't have any evidence to show that shows me that you really understand this stuff. So why don't you go back, do these assignments, prove to me where you're at, and then we'll give you that opportunity to get reassessed. We'll give you a new assignment to do that. This in-course recovery process does differ course to course. So a foundations level student might have more opportunities than, say, an AP student would have in order to do that. There might be an AP class that gives you one opportunity to make up or to recover an assessment throughout the entire quarter or semester. So it all depends on the level. Teachers work together across departments to kind of set up those standards and then apply those within their courses to make sure that students are getting opportunities to recover, but it just may not be the same or look the same in each of the courses.
Post-course recovery, we talked, again, a little bit about this earlier. So again, if you do pass or have a C- in more than 50% of your course competencies, your guidance counselor, administration typically will reach out and let you know about how to recover that grade. Typically that is done during the school year through adult ed after school program, but we have a program during the summer as well. Here's some data on that. So just looking in the past school year, starting from fall 2022 to just the end of this summer. So the past fall, we had 49 courses recovered. During the spring, 111. In the summer, 59. So there were 219. They're not all, potentially might not all be individual students. One student may have done it multiple times, but 219 students that are not sitting in the class for the whole 90 days, the full year, whatever that course is, because they knew more than 50% of the material they needed to have focused work on a certain competency or two, and they were able to earn a passing grade for that. So it saves a lot of time for our students and our teachers to have somebody sitting in the class for the full time knowing 66% of the material already day one. So we found this to be a very, very positive program that we've had since we've gone to the competency-based system.
At the end of the night here, we have a competency handbook for teachers and for students and families. So we've gone through and revised the competency handbook teacher edition recently over this past year. We're working on the revisions for the student one, which should be uploaded to the district site in the near future. There's not a lot that's changed, but there's definitely have been some minor changes. A lot was more to the language of we will be doing something to we are is what the vast majority of the changes had been made. So we're currently going through to update that other piece now. Brings us to the end.
Thank you. Questions, comments? Ms. Raymond?
Thank you. Thank you guys so much for coming tonight. We had pulled ILBAA and ILBAA-R, and we'll be talking about them later on this evening during the policy part. And that's our policies on competency assessment. So the principals were kind enough to meet with Mr. Posca and I as we went through it. And one of the questions that I asked them in our meeting, and I told them I would ask them again here at this public meeting, is about how the competencies convert to our 4.0 GPAs. And I know that we've done away with the weighted GPA and we've done away with the class rank for this year. But I'm still getting calls and emails from some parents who feel like the 4.0 is not an achievable goal for us. And I know that on our policy sheet, it shows an A+ as a 4 and an A as a 3.75. I'm just curious if you guys can tell any parents who are watching, like any trends that you've seen over the last 10 years as we've been using this system. Are we seeing less A's, seeing less 4.0s? Well, A+, I guess.
Yeah. So I think, just to go back to where we were at, I think a lot of parents are kind of focused or used to the 100-point grading scale that we had, growing up. And we've made that conversion into basically inputting just the letter grades into X2, so the A+ through the C-, along with the IP or NE. So that's what typically you're going to see when you log into that X2 piece. The minimum standards that we're looking for students to achieve are in that proficient level, that B- to B+ range. But a lot of times teachers are providing students, or they are providing students with rubrics, which kind of outline and explain what it takes to get an A, to get a B, to get a C. And along with those pieces, we also sometimes have exemplars that are used from prior classes. So it gives students that opportunity to kind of see what is expected. A lot of times we ask, to get that A or A+, it's to kind of go above and beyond kind of those minimum expectations to meet that proficiency level.
And behind, we put a letter in and things have to get averaged. So there are numbers behind these letters in the system, and those numbers that you were just sharing are the numbers that get added together and then would be used for the GPA system for, to figure out where they're at when you take all of their courses together, use those numbers to then average it out. We look at grade data. I look at it quarterly. We put it in semester, end of the year, do it. And I'll be honest, most of our kids do pretty well. Most of our grades, the highest portion is certainly A's and B's for all of our students. I think when you add those together, it probably makes up about 70% of all grades that are issued. There's about 7,500 grades that are issued at Nashua High School South each quarter. And I definitely see A pluses that are out there, you know what I mean? So it's not, sometimes there's this, they never get issued, but I could prove they are, you know what I mean? Again, so we certainly have kids that certainly struggle academically, and that's why we're there to help pick them up and identify who those kids are and, go from there. So I'd say the majority of our kids are doing pretty well. I don't have grade data prior to we made the move, but I would say that pretty happy with what we see when we pull it out quarterly.
Thank you. I know there's just some angst still lingering with some families who are worried about scholarship opportunities now that colleges are so very expensive for most families. And then the second question I had is there a time limit for how long a student has to do the competency recovery at the end of the course? So if they got that NC at the end of the course, but they're eligible to make it up, how do they have a certain number of weeks or months, or is it case by case?
We typically give students the 2 shots, so they, and it all depends a lot of times on when we're offering it. So sometimes, our post-course recovery process is run through our adult ed program. So we try to run a lot of those courses in the fall and then again in the spring and in the summer. So we give our students that year to get back through and make up that time. Sometimes they don't have an opportunity to do it during the spring because they have, other things going on in their lives. Whether it's at home or in school, or maybe they have a pretty tough course load. So we give them that single year to make it up.
So theoretically, you could have an NC for a fall semester class and then make it up over the summer. Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, so you look at the data, fall is typically the lowest number, just because most of those kids coming to the school year probably went to summer school to get it done. So spring's our biggest because it just happened. We have them, they're with us. We drag them out of class and, make sure they get signed up so they're moving along, reach out to their families and things like that. So spring is usually our biggest, especially seniors getting to graduation, things like that. Summer does a great job, and fall is usually kids that just weren't available to go to summer school. We grab them then. That's typically how we see this data fall.
Thank you so much.
Odin? Thank you. Mic on, sorry.
Oh, thank you. When we first initiated the competencies, there was like a 30-minute period during the day. Do we still, what was that called?
E-block.
E-block. Is that still in place?
Yep.
Are students using that to help with their recovery?
I think some students definitely are utilizing that time to go to E-block, sign in with their teachers, recover the work that they might have missed, or maybe, to make up a test that they missed, get extra help, get extra support. So that's definitely a time that's utilized during the day.
And are there 2 teachers in the E-block or just 1?
We have 2 in each of the classes here at North this year. I think
We have some pairs and some singletons, just the way the schedule works out. But
Okay. And if a student feels they don't have anything to recover or work with a teacher, what are they doing?
Depends. They might be making up some homework. They might be, studying for another class. They might be just playing games. They might be getting an opportunity to develop relationships, build relationships. And some kids just take a little downtime during that.
a lot of our clubs are running during that time too.
That's what I was going to ask about.
I mean, I don't know if you want to speak. I mean, you're probably scheduled somewhere every day almost. I see you running around. Talk about how you use it.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely feel like it varies student to student, but I feel like everyone finds a way to make use of it the best they can. Like there's various clubs, and then also just a lot of the time my friends spend time doing like homework and that kind of stuff. So, I mean, of course, there's people who abuse the system and don't use it properly, but that happens with everything. So.
And I asked that because I remember one of the students, when we were going through this, say, well, just if I could just go down to the gym and shoot baskets, that was like part of that. And that kind of surprised me, but for some students, that might be exactly what they need.
Yep, so we have the gym open and the weight room, and those are the two hardest things to get into. The next is the library. Kids love to have a quiet space to get into the library. So those are the three, come Monday when they're scheduling, those fill up real fast for the week.
That's good news. Also, when I look at this, the proficient with distinction, proficient, if a student scores proficient, can they retake an assessment so that they can move to proficient with distinction?
So that's one of the things that kind of depends on the teacher, depends on the course, depends on the level. So yes and no, I would say. We don't necessarily want a student that has an A to keep going back to try to get that A plus 15 times. And I think that was one of the pieces that we really struggled with at the beginning of this system was, we had class rank. We have students that are fighting for an A plus in everything. So they were coming back trying to recover, to that A plus every time. So, over the time, we've kind of set some standards and set some ground rules kind of to ensure that doesn't happen. So I would say yes and no.
And that's one of the complaints we heard from the students. You can have one teacher that will let you go back and retake, and you might have a teacher that doesn't. And they were complaining about the fairness of that. So is there any way you can improve that? Have you thought about that?
Yeah, we've talked about that. We talked about it with the student reps actually just a couple weeks ago. Just we try to make it that there is at least a recovery option in every course. Prior to this change, if we had 150 teachers, we had 150 different grade books and 150 different expectations. Some teachers allowed late work, other teachers took 10 points off each day. Some, if you didn't pass it in that day, it was a 0. So by moving to this, we certainly have become more consistent than we were prior to it. Is there still more work to go? Yep, but I think where we did get a little bit closer was a lot of our, as Nate had alluded to, a lot of the same courses are doing the same things. So if I pick on, English 1, they try and be consistent across the board with how they're doing it. Things like that. And those conversations have been great. So at least with At South, English 1, they're all, I would say, pretty aligned on how they're doing these practices.
Okay, and with the changes we've made, are there fewer complaints about class rank and class standing?
I haven't heard anything yet this year since the changes have been made. I don't know.
No.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's good news, good news. Oh, thank you both. Been a long road.
Yeah.
Ms. Gilio?
Just have a quick question. The course recovery, you have data from the fall of this past school year in the spring. Is that when this started, when students had the opportunity to do course recovery, or did it exist before the 22-23 school year?
Yeah, it's been an annual piece since we moved about 10 years ago to competencies.
Might have said that, but
I don't know that we did, but yeah.
No, yeah.
We just didn't pull all that
I
data.
just
We
didn't
don't
show it
have
all.
all that data accessible either.
okay, thank you.
I have a question. Is it pretty consistent? So like you see English 1s are all pretty consistent with how kids can interact with their grades. Is it the same across the schools?
I think it probably depends on the course and depends on the department. But again, I think most of the time we try to have those conversations within departments to make sure they are equal. It's hard. We used to have more time built in to get the schools together to have those conversations. It's something we've kind of gotten away from over the last few years, but something that I think we would both be open to.
Ms. Raymond?
If you do that, can you pull the middle school teachers in who teach the languages and Algebra 1 at the middle school? Because I do get calls from parents who feel that there's a disconnect between how the middle school teachers are interpreting competencies and the high school teachers are interpreting competencies from those who have, kids at both schools. Which, again, I think one of the reasons why I wanted you guys here is because I felt like I get different explanations of competencies from different parents who call me. And so I thought it would be helpful to have one explanation coming from the people in charge.
I do feel like, as well, that I think that is one of the issues that we do have in this district right now, is that we are living in 3 different systems. That you have a standards-based system at the elementary level, you have traditional grading at the middle school level, and then you go to competency-based grading. So I think parents are trying to learn and live in 3 different systems. The one that they know is at the middle schools because they live that. And I think that's really leading to a lot of the challenges that you might see from some of those teachers at the middle school level and having that communication. Then also once they get to the high school, and it's a brand new system. So anything that we could do to kind of realign that would be great.
Are we able to look at competency grading in the middle schools, or is that too big of a project?
The middle school steering committee probably has about 14 things on the agenda.
Okay.
It's there, but as Ms. Gilio said, it's a long row.
Yeah.
So one thing at a time at the middle school. So that might be next year.
Well, it almost feels like the elementary school and the high schools are more in line with their grading, and elementary is the traditional 1990s approach.
So, the middle school steering committee will be coming forward with a couple of recommendations about scheduling teams, middle school philosophy. So that's our target this year.
Well, thank you guys for coming. We appreciate you taking the time out of your busy schedules to educate us a little bit.
No problem. Thank you.
Thank you. Oh.
I printed in black and white because I don't want this done.
I'm sorry. Ms. Bishop?
Thank you.
Ms. Bishop? Hey, Jen. Can we ask that the link and the PowerPoint be put on the materials on the website?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I know it wasn't up there for this meeting, but maybe she can edit it after this. Yeah. Great. Thank you.
Okay. All right. Do you mind if we scoot back over just so it doesn't look like we're us versus them? Now back to our regularly scheduled meeting. Okay, so up next is the consent agenda. I would be looking for a motion to approve the consent agenda.
So moved.
Second.
Ms. Raymond and Ms. Gilio, all those in favor of approving the consent agenda, say aye. Aye. Any opposed?
Nay.
Darling, Ms. Brown, Ms. Johnson. Motion passes, though.
There was nobody here.
There was nobody here.
Oh.
We'll give everyone, the massive crowds here, we'll give them time to elbows out, knees up to the sign-up sheet. That's how you don't get trampled in a crowd. In case you ever needed that survival skill.
Well, there's no time either.
Okay. Yeah, wander about, Mike. You guys signing up for anything?
No.
No? Right? We gave everybody ample opportunity. Okay, so this brings us up to Dr. Andre's superintendent's comments.
Thank you. Good evening. Congratulations to the Nashua High South boys cross-country team for winning the NHIAA Division I Championship Saturday. Dante Castellano, class of 2024 and Nashua Board of Education student member, led the team, placing third overall in the state with a time of 16 minutes and 19.4 seconds.
Wow. How many miles
He has taken on all challenges in the parking lot afterwards. Danielle Byrne, class of 2025, helped solidify the win by following Dante across the finish line, finishing fourth overall with a time of 16 minutes, 23.59 seconds. That was close. Like he was on your heels. 7 South runners placed. Congratulations to our coaches and each member of the cross-country team. Well done, Panthers. 5 auditioning instrumental jazz musicians were named to participate in the New Hampshire Music Educators Association Jazz All-State Festival in February at Pinkerton Academy. The festival features 4 different ensembles. Congratulations to the following instrumentalists. Ben Conley, North class of 24, is a trombonist. Alondra Doubleday, South class of 2024, a trumpet player, will play for the Honors Jazz Band. Ethan Hobbs, class of 2026 at North, a trumpet player. Anthony Umbro, North class of 2026, a pianist. And Timothy Crook, South class of 2025, a trombonist, have been invited to play for the jazz band at the festival. Again, congratulations for representing the best of the best. The College Board recently announced students who earned the distinction of being named AP Scholar. I am proud to announce 137 Nashua High School North and South students were announced as scholars. It is impressive because the students were acknowledged for taking at least 3 AP exams and scoring at least a 3 or higher on each of the exams. This is a great reflection not only on our students, but also on our high school teachers and staff. The AP College Ready curriculum is the same for all students across all schools nationwide who take the AP courses. Being named the AP Scholar shows not only our students have excelled at taking particularly rigorous courses, but also they are more than ready for advanced study at the collegiate level. Again, congratulations to each of our 137 AP Scholars. I just want to take a moment to thank again all the members of Franklin Street School staff, students, and families for their patience and consideration during the last 2 years. The school was being renovated to accommodate the Play Pals preschool and Brentwood Academy. It was quite a triumph to dedicate the Franklin School last Friday. Thank you to Greg Warren, Franklin Street principal, and his staff for planning a great celebration. Thanks to Jamie Olette of Harriman Architects, Rob Prunia of Harvey Construction, the City of Nashua officials, members of the Joint Special School Building Committee, Plan Operations staff, and all the trades who helped transform a very tired building into a great school for our students. Lastly, I want to give a shout out to all of our students who have been involved with the elections. We had a number of students who were taping the candidates for the Board of Education. Additionally, this upcoming Thursday, at the League of Women Voters Forum for the mayoral debate, asking questions will be students from Mr. Gray's AP Government and Politics class, as well as the questions being submitted from the league. So our students are really involved in the elections, and so I really appreciate the classroom theory being applied to real-world applications. So thank you for all the students being involved in our local elections. Thank you.
In response to superintendent's comments, I will start over here with Ms. Gilio. But can you turn your mic on?
Now I have wonderful things to say. Now, those were all wonderful pieces of information. I think everything is looking great. And as a participant with the high school forum, it was so professionally done. I think the students were amazing. And I just was awed by the whole experience. So thank you.
I say congratulations to all of those students. Just amazing achievements some of them have made. So we're real proud of them, proud of their hard work.
I was part of that forum and took a lot of work for those students to do research on us. And they were excellent. They were better than our local news around here. I hope they'll get a job. I want to say congratulations to our cross-country team, especially Dante and everyone else. Thank you.
It's really different. I remember actually sitting in that same forum 4 years ago, and it was very nerve-wracking, and the kids had it so much more together than I did. It was pretty impressive. And yeah, this is all great news. It's wonderful. And it's also great to see the Franklin Street building finally being fully dedicated, finished up, and it's a long time coming, but I think it's really, they're doing a great job over there, and it's set up really well. So, thanks.
Congratulations, Dante. And, it's nice to hear all our kids are doing so well. Thanks.
Mr. Claffey?
I'll pass, thank you.
Ms. Raymond?
Thanks. I just wanted to say how exciting it was to see Franklin Street up and totally running and furnished. The Brentwood Academy started out in Merrimack. I don't even know how many years ago, in a kind of an old crumbly building, and then they were temporarily in an office park, and then now they started in Franklin, then they moved to the Boys and Girls Club, and now they're in Franklin. And so I'm sure that those students and staff are thrilled to have their own space. And I was really excited to hear when Mr. Warren gave us the tour that they actually had to order more lockers because they are almost full. I think he said they only have spots for 3 more students. So to have a program that almost died come back and have not just our own students utilizing it, but I think he said there were 6 or 8 students from other districts who are coming in and utilizing the service is great. It just shows how we can meet a need that our greater community has for an alternative learning environment for the kids who need it. So I'm excited by it. I hope that one day we can expand it down to the middle school as well.
Darling?
No comment.
I'll just finish up with the Franklin Street piece, which is, it's nice that we don't have to send that many kids out of district anymore, and we're able to meet the special ed needs of our students without busing them for extended distances outside of our district. So not only is it a cost-saving measure, but it's also in the best interest of the students. So I'm glad we were able to get that up and going. Ms. Johnson?
Just want to say that they have a great lunchroom, great kitchen.
Yes.
Yeah, and I wish I had a kitchen like that at home.
Right?
Looks like great
It's
meals.
all brand new.
All brand new.
Yeah.
So they'll have great meals. That's what they were talking about. Great meals.
Yep.
Thank you.
All right, thank you, everybody. We are now on to the student member of the board comments. If I'm not wrong, it's Mr. Farley.
That is correct.
Okay.
Good evening. The annual Powder Puff football game is coming up on Tuesday, November 7th. A lot of time and preparation went into this event from both juniors and seniors. I wish each team the best of luck, even though I do want the juniors to win. It is a really fun event, so I encourage everyone, if you're free, to come and watch the game. Also, I want to congratulate Dante and the South Boys track team on winning cross-country team on winning the division championship. Not only did they win, but it seems that they actually crushed the competition, so kudos to you guys. Other than that, I wish everyone who is running for re-election the best of luck. Funny enough, I'm actually also running for re-election. When I first started this term, I was only a sophomore, meaning I now have the opportunity to come back next year. And I hope to see you all again here this coming year. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you, and good evening. I just wanted to mention that the college fair is happening right now at Nashua South until 7, and just how it's a great event and everything. It happens every year. Went the past 2 years, or last year and the year before, I believe. It's just a really great way to get a lot of good, quick information from a lot of different schools. And then just going on off of this, I can't believe my term's almost over. With that being said, we need a junior or sophomore to replace me. So please go to your class Google Classroom and fill out the application if you'd like to run for the position. I believe the deadline is later this week, if I'm not mistaken. Additionally, feel free to ask me any questions you may have. Like, for example, this Wednesday, feel free to come to Mr. Gray's during E-Block to informally ask any questions or express any concerns you have related to the BOE. And they don't just have to be related to running for the position. They could be anything related to the BOE. As for some general reminders, there will be no school for students next Tuesday due to the municipal elections, and then next Friday due to the observance of Veterans Day. And our Panther Bowl, formerly known as the Powder Puff Game, will be next Thursday at, November 9th. I'm not quite sure on the time. It's 6 or 7, but you could look on your Google Classrooms. And I wish everyone luck. It's always a good time doing that. Some other events, financial aid nights happening on November 15th at 6 p.m. In the auditorium at South. And also be sure to sign up for Apply New Hampshire Day, which is November 14th. And that's when you'll be able to apply to any New Hampshire college for free, basically, if you apply on that day and through this program. And you'll be able to get any assistance and help you need. And that's all during the school day. Just for a few sports updates, I'm glad to say that I've been part of the Division I champion cross-country team at South, and we look forward to competing at the Meet of Champions this weekend. We'll be able to compete against Division II and III. This past weekend was just Division I, so we'll be looking forward to that. And additionally, congratulations to Coach Bellin and the boys soccer team who made it to the quarterfinals. Although they lost in a close game against Bedford, they were able to win the past 2 years. So I know they've had a great program, and hopefully we'll continue that. So one last thing, make sure to sign up for winter sports as soon as possible, and most of them start on November 27th. So thank you.
Thank you. Dante, I don't think we're replacing you because you're irreplaceable, but we do need to fill that spot again. All right, I will hand the floor over now to Ms. Johnson for Finance and Operations.
Thank you very much. The Finance and Operations Committee met on October 18th, 2023. I move to approve the purchase of 19 HP Z2 computers for the advanced manufacturing for a total of $32,072, funding to come from the Perkins Grant.
Second.
Ms. Raymond?
Thank you. I just wondered, does anyone know how many students are currently enrolled in that program? That was a program that we kind of lost for a while, right? And then we got it back.
I don't know that, but you're correct. That program did shut down, and now it's back.
It's a great program because the starting pay for those jobs is like $80,000 a year without a college degree. So I'm excited about it.
It feels so stupid about going to college.
Right?
Dad.
All right.
Mortgage.
Well, I'm just, if they're buying machines, then clearly kids are interested, so.
Okay, any other comments? Okay, so all those in favor of approving the purchase of 19 HP Z2 computers totaling $32,072, funding to come from the Perkins Grant, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes.
Thank you. I move to approve the FY24 grants from the federal government.
Second.
Thank you. Comments or questions? Seeing none, all those in favor of approving?
Wait, we got questions.
Halt. Ms. Raymond?
Thank you. I'm curious if this almost $11 million, how does that go into the budget book? Like, does it have its own separate thing? Is it part of our FY24 budget that we already approved back in May?
It's not the operating budget. This board approves the operating budget. It's part of the whole calculation for the city budget and the budget cap and all that, those machinations that take place. But these are on a different cycle. So they run a school year, but we don't find out about them until the summertime, what the amounts of each grant will be. They typically, the list that I shared with the Finance and Ops Committee, those are the ones that we receive every single time. I didn't put the ESSER grants on. This is the last year of the ESSER grants. We'll occasionally get a few more, but the ones on the list are the standard ones that we get every year. The amounts change, but we get them just about every year.
Thank you.
Lampier?
Yeah, I listened to the meeting, and I was wondering about the Title IV-B grant for 21st Century. You said that had been reduced quite a bit, and I didn't know how it was going to affect the programs.
At this point, it isn't. There's a few other issues around the Title IV grants regarding tuition collection. We're waiting to hear from the state and the federal government back whether we can do that or not. So the immediate answer is it's fine. Might it change later when we find out more information on the tuition? We'll let people know.
Okay, thank you.
Any other comments or questions? Seeing none, all those in favor of approving the fiscal year 24 grants from the federal government, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes.
Final one, I move to approve the FY24 September transfer report.
Second.
Comments, questions? None. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any, do you oppose, Mr. Donovan?
No. But there was a motion missing on the agenda
Uh-oh.
Uh-oh.
that was related to the other computers. Do you remember we had two different motions that night? So the one that's missing was a motion to approve the purchase of 40 HP ProDesk computers at a total cost of $25,200 from IT Insiders, funding to come from the Perkins grant. So we broke it into two motions, and only one of them was on the agenda.
Are we comfortable addressing that in this board meeting, or do we want to push it to the next one so there's proper notice?
We're not going to have a meeting till December now.
Well, not for finance and ops, but the next board meeting.
We agree by a consensus, or we need to move to suspend?
We can agree by consensus.
It was approved at Finance and Ops
Right.
with the motion
Right.
being to send it to the full board.
Right.
Right, it's just not on the agenda, and I just want to, if we just miss it, I just don't want to make people think we didn't put it out there. Ms. Oden?
I did, I went to the agenda, it was on there, and they were the lowest bidders. And they're somebody we're familiar with, they're local. I don't have a problem at all of approving it now.
Do you want an official motion?
No, we'll just do consensus. I'm looking at everybody, nobody's looking distraught.
I just need to know the motion that I'm writing down.
Yes. Mr. Donovan, would you mind saying it again slowly?
All right, I can give you a copy of it.
Oh, yeah.
That sounds good.
Okay, so I'll actually take this and I'll read it. You can write it down. Okay, so the motion is to approve the purchase of 40 HP ProDesk computers at a total cost of $25,200, funding to come from the Perkins grant, correct? Need a second.
I'll second it.
You can do it, Paula.
Thank you, Paula. Any comments or questions about this?
Can I just speak on this?
Yes, please.
So in case anybody watches this, it did go through committee.
Yep.
We did approve it to send it to the full board. Unfortunately, it didn't make the agenda, but if you look at the finance and ops sheet for Mr. Donovan, it does show that is on there.
Yep.
So I just want everybody to know we did approve it.
And all of the work and the talking about it would have already happened in finance, and you can
Yes,
refer to those meeting minutes if you need.
yes, on October 18th,
Okay.
2023.
Perfect. So all those in favor of approving the purchase, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Here you go.
And that's the end of the committee meeting reports.
That's the end.
Thank you. Oh, and I just want to let everybody know, like I just said, there is no meeting in November. Yeah, it's Monday. It would be November. Yeah, No, yes, it's November. I can't, that's right, tomorrow's Halloween.
Yeah.
I'm like lost here. So our next meeting won't be till December.
November. Means I'm gonna have a 17-year-old in like 2 seconds, which makes me wanna pretend. I keep thinking I'm 17. Okay, so I will hand the floor over to Ms. Raymond for Committee on Policy.
Okay, so Committee on Policy, we met on October the 17th, and we did quite a bit of work. So I'm going to move that it says retain, so I'm moving that we keep policy BGD, Board Review of Administrative Procedures, and we just update that it was reviewed in our policy manual online.
Second.
So this is one that is unique to Nashua policy. It's not one that other districts necessarily have. Felt no reason to change it.
Anybody have any comments or questions? Okay, seeing none, all those in favor of, I lost my spot.
Okay.
All those in favor of approving policy BDG, Board Review of Administrative Procedures without change, say aye.
Yes.
BGD, what did I say?
BDG, it's BGD.
BGD.
Yes.
Yeah, that one.
I'm still 17. I can read this without my reading glasses. Okay, so all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes.
Okay. I move that we approve policy JFAA, admission of resident students as amended.
Second.
Right, and I'll just speak to it. This is one that we had brought last time, and then we sent it back. And then I had spoken to Ms. Johnson offline because she wasn't able to come to our last policy meeting. We added 2 new legal references. One was on military children, interstate compact, and the other one is on the opt-out information where you can find it at Health and Human Services. Because this policy is really about, like, what do you need to be admitted? And then if parents have an immunization conflict for whatever the reason, the district doesn't have the authority to make the decision. It's the Health and Human Services that the parent has to work with, and then they tell us if it's okay or not.
Johnson?
Thank you. I want to thank Ms. Raymond because I couldn't make the first meeting. I can't remember. And the last one happened to be my birthday.
Yep.
So my kids took me out. It was that 0970 number. And I want to say thank you because I did send it. My friend tells me that all the time. Because I truly felt that the parents needed a reference in case that for some reason their children can't be immunized for religious, medical, whatever, that they knew who to contact. And I want to say thank you for your patience on it.
Any other comments or questions? So all those in favor of approving policy JFAA, admission of resident students as amended, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes.
Okay. I move that we approve policy JFABB, foreign exchange students. And there is one minor thing. There's a typo in the title on the packet that we were sent. It says foreign exchange students instead of exchange students, which is not correct. So if we could just get that S changed to an X, it would make me happy.
Oh, second. Sorry.
Thanks. No, it's fine on the sister policy. I don't know what happened on this one.
They're pretty close, S and X. Right. Okay, so all those, no other comments or questions in regards to that policy?
No, I mean, we don't have a lot of foreign exchange students here in Nashua that stay the whole year, and that's what this particular policy is for. So we talked to the principals. They said that the policy says up to 4. I think right now we have 3, Mr. Posca, and then we have some that come for short periods of time, 3 weeks or 6 weeks, and those operate under different protocols than this policy.
Yeah, the ones that are here for a lengthier period of time are at South. They have 2 for this year and 1 in the works for next year. And I think many of you may have seen some promotion of some of the German exchange students who were here a couple weeks ago here in the district.
Any other comments or questions? Seeing none, all those in favor of approving policy JFABB, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes.
Okay, I move that we approve policy JFABB-R, admission of foreign exchange students.
Second.
Okay, there's no changes to this. This is just the protocols about all of the things that the students need to have as far as paperwork and all of the things that the sponsors must have as far as documentation as well.
Comments or questions? Seeing none, all those in favor of approving policy JFABB-R, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes.
Okay. I move that we approve policy ILBAA, high school competency assessments.
Second.
Okay, this one, we had our lovely principals here to speak to this at length. The changes to this part of the policy, just update it because previously it said that it would have to start by 2015. So we've done that.
So now it continues on.
Yes.
Okay. Comments or questions? Seeing none, all those in favor of approving policy ILBAA, high school competency assessments, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes.
Okay. I move that we approve ILBAA-R, competency assessment regulations and procedures.
Second.
Thank you. This one has some changes, and it's that chart that I had held up earlier to ask the principals about. The big change for it is that we're striking the line, the column that has the 100-point conversion because we haven't used the 100-point conversion since 2008. Teachers don't, there's no place in X2 for it. There's no place that teachers are marking it down, and there's no place that students are paying attention to it. So at this point, we're only using the letter grades in X2, and then the chart shows the out of 4 GPA that corresponds with each letter grade that is entered into X2.
Any comments or questions? Mr. Posca?
Thank you, Ms. Bishop. I'd just like to go out on record and thank Warren and Dante for generating this conversation. The impetus for this conversation was about course recovery. Thanks to them for getting us all at the table. Special thanks to Mr. Richard and Mr. Burns for kind of going out of their way to kind of clarifying a lot of the situations. And I think part of some of the questions that Dante and Warren brought up were addressed during the presentation tonight. So I think it demonstrates what these two gentlemen have done in their short period of time on the board. So thank you very much.
Yeah. Good job, guys. Any other comments or questions? Okay, seeing none, all those in favor of approving policy ILBAA-R, competency assessment regulations and procedures, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes.
Okay. The next one, I move that we approve IGE, parental objections to specific course material.
Second.
Okay. So we received a technical advisory from the state asking us to update IGE with an extra paragraph. Basically, IGE is if you, as a parent or guardian, wish to opt your child out of any material, this is how you do it. It tells you exactly how to contact the teacher, et cetera. And so you'll see that there's a red lined additional paragraph and a reference to RSA 193.40, which is the prohibition on teaching discrimination, which we have added.
Second. Did I say second?
You did.
It's your notes. Any comments or questions? Seeing none, all those in favor of approving policy IGE, say aye.
Aye.
I don't want to
Opposed?
approve it. I want to say no.
You want to say no?
Yes, please.
So all those opposed? Just, okay.
I'll just say it. Nay.
Ms. Lampier opposes by saying,
Nay.
okay. Now brings us up to,
Oh, and we will be meeting in November. I just forget the date off the top of my head. 14th, November 14th.
November's such a busy month.
So, and yeah, we have some more technical stuff, advisories and legal updates from bills that the governor signed into law, along with some work that the steering committees have been doing.
You just look like you're ready to,
Well, I'm
this bumps up to, so we have no curriculum and evaluation.
No, we did meet, and we had 3 updates, mostly on our professional development from summer 2023. November 7th, we got an update on how we're going to be spending the in-service day. We have lots of excellent choices for teachers. Half the day will be dedicated towards things that were chosen by the administration, half is by the teachers' choice, and it seems to be they're getting very good feedback, particularly on the reading curriculums and different opportunities to do a lot of different things. And so I applaud Dr. Sarfji on that. And we also had a little follow-up on our extracurriculars regarding the elementary school music programs. I just wanted to clarify and continue to reiterate that it's a celebrated program in all our schools. All of our elementary schools are currently having band and chorus, and it kind of looks different at each of the individual schools based on the needs of the school environment and working with the teachers and the students to make sure that that's the best options for the school itself. And the principals have it pretty much under control.
Awesome. Thank you for that. Ms. Raymond?
Can we have, because this was something that we had a lot of public comments on and we had a lot of people coming to the board wanting an update, like, is there a spreadsheet, an update, something that can be put in the board meeting materials for the main board so that the people who came to the main board meeting with these questions can get those answers in a place that's easy for them to find it?
If it's written down, we can just add it to the minutes of this meeting. Is it written down?
I mean, I did write a memo to the board that we presented, but in terms of essentially what I gave for an update, thanks to Mr. Claffey's suggestion, was just indicating for each school whether or not band, chorus were offered before, during, and after school. So is that something that you'd like to?
I think it should be someplace that we can easily direct people who are calling us and be like, yes, this is the meeting minutes where you get it from. Like, do you know what I mean?
Were there any changes to the schools and how they presented, or did they go back to what they were used to doing?
No, they didn't go back to what they were doing because we can't take kids out of core instruction, but they continue to offer band, chorus, and again, the individual instrument lessons and then also the group lessons. But a lot of the schools were already offering some of those components before school or after school. And then wherever we could fit it within the school day, typically the schools that already did it during the school day because they had somebody on site who was able to teach those things, that just continued. So I would say there were definitely some changes, but I don't think the changes were monumental. I personally have only heard from one parent. That's it.
So it's pretty much just the instrumental, the lessons are before or after school, and then band and chorus.
Not necessarily. Nope. Not necessarily. It just depends on the school. Because remember, we have traveling music teachers. Not all of the music teachers have the same skills. So I might work at Mount Pleasant, let's say, and I might teach chorus, or I might just teach music class, but I might not teach chorus or band. So I have to wait for somebody to come to the school to be able to do that. And that's really no different than what we've always had to do before.
How many schools changed their practice?
I think if you look at that, so I did send a spreadsheet to you. I honestly am not able to tell you. I know that every single school has always offered before, during, and after. So they might have moved some things around, but with that regard, nothing has changed. But we absolutely are not taking kids out of core instruction.
But it's chorus and band is still during the day, just not during core instruction, and based on what is best for the school.
That's not, it depends on the availability of the people who actually can teach band and chorus. Go ahead.
I just to make it a little clearer, is there somewhere we can look that we would know at each elementary school what's being offered during the day, what's being offered before and after school? Like
Yes.
something really simple that we can just say to the parent.
Yes, I'm sorry. I did share that with the board. So I think what we probably can do is just add that to the minutes. Absolutely.
Okay, and it
Yep.
would say if a parent has children at New Searles, they could look at it and they would know,
Mike,
okay, if
you're
I
not
want
close
my
enough to your
child
mic.
to be doing.
Jimmy's yelling at you about the mic. That you're not close enough to it.
Yep,
It's, sorry. Yes. So just, just to make it clearer to the parents that, if your child goes to this school, band will be in the morning or the afternoon, not during the school day.
100%.
Okay.
There are some nuances. Some lessons are during the day, some are in the afternoon, and those are indicated on the spreadsheet that I share with the board. So we can just put that in the minutes for sure. I did just want to make one point of clarification though about the PD day. We do have a menu of items based on teacher feedback. I did survey the teachers, and although teachers, the PD day teachers do have to participate in one district-directed professional development opportunity, we're not mandating what that is. They get to choose whatever it is that works for them. So there's just a menu, and teachers can choose one activity or they can choose two if they want. I would say most of our elementary teachers, this is just for elementary, most of our elementary teachers have elected to choose two activities because they're activities that are meaningful.
Thank you. Any other comments or questions? Okay, seeing none, we are off to Committee on Human Resources.
So I'm a little confused because normally at this point, I would say that we need to suspend the rules to consider items from our earlier HR meeting tonight, but we did not vote on anything except to adjourn our HR meeting tonight.
So you can just give us an update on what y'all talked about.
So could I, yes, may I do that? Okay, that would be great. We did not have any new administrative hires this tonight, so we did not have to vote on that. And Michael Baus has been really good at keeping us informed of how many job openings that we still have in the district. And as of today, and he made one correction during our meeting, which was a positive one, we have a total of 123 job openings. 34 of those are for teachers, 12 from elementary, 15 from middle, 7 from high school. We have 50 para openings. Many of them, we found out when we were at the dedication of Franklin Street the other day, are with the really tiny little kids at Franklin Street. They have 18 openings for paras. We have 20 for food service, 16 for plant operations. We have 2 for secretaries, and Mr. Baus was happy to tell us that we have hired an HR specialist, so that one position that was administrative has now been filled. And I just wanted to take a minute. I spoke at the earlier meeting too. I'd just like to take a minute because all of us are concerned about all of the openings that we have, and I wanted to just share a little personal story with people who are watching because you may or may not know this about me, but I never planned on having a career in education. I had 2 totally different careers in my life, and then was home raising children and had the opportunity to volunteer at my kids' school at New Searles in the library. And they needed a few paras during the year, and so I was asked if I would step up and try it. And I did midway through the year, like from December till June, thinking, this is not what I've done in the past, but I absolutely loved it. I loved being in the school. I loved working with the kids, both in the library and in classrooms and one-on-one. And I found that I wanted more of a career beyond being a para. And so I ended up going to graduate school to get my library degree and came back with that degree and was a middle school librarian for 19 years and then subbed for a long time in 3 of our elementary schools here. And I just think that it's amazing, because if someone had said to me 30 years ago or 32 years ago, "Oh, you're going to have a career in education, you're going to start as a para and you're going to like that and you're going to do this and you're going to end up on the Board of Education," I would have thought they were nuts. But I'm imploring people who think it might be good to give it a try, to just think about it. I mean, especially with the 18 openings at Franklin Street for the preschool kids, they're awfully cute when they're little. So, I mean, there might be one person out there who's hearing me who may say, "Whoa, maybe I should apply." And we would love it if you did. So that's just my story. And that's the end of what we discussed at our meeting.
Excellent.
Thank you.
Ms. Raymond?
Thank you. So I know this is not a Nashua alone problem. Like, speaking to board members across the state, all of the districts are struggling, especially for paras and special educators. Is there any help or suggestions or anything coming from the State Department of Education? Is there, I guess my question is, what else can we do? I'm worried about burning out our teachers that are here because they don't have enough staff to support them.
So I've been at a couple of conferences talking to superintendents across the nation, and so it's not just even a Nashua, New Hampshire issue, but there's been a couple of recommendations coming up about how are we proactively seeking out people. So I've been in contact with the New Hampshire Department of Education on really working in tandem of who's graduating and how do we recruit, right? So right from the universities. So we'll be working with them, not just Nashua, but many districts, on really how, if you were certified in the last few years and you're not working somewhere, how do we glean that information and find out why or why not you're working? The other issue that's coming up is about housing. So really that bigger kind of conversation on if we're recruiting teachers in from out of state, different places, can teachers really afford to live in this area? So really trying to think outside the box on different ways to recruit teachers in. Talking to Mr. Bowes, we're looking at one agency on proactively recruiting from the HBCU colleges, looking to diversify our teaching staff. So we're looking to go outside the box a little bit more than just recruiting just in the New Hampshire area. But one of the big deterrents has been housing.
Thanks.
I'll know my feelings on that. Ms. Brown?
Well, I think to both reference back to Ms. Giglio and to kind of answer Ms. Raymond's question about things that the state is doing to address the issue, we've got local school districts who are thinking very strategically from an HR perspective. But additionally, there's been a lot more alternative certification programs and also access to emergency certifications, which I do think that is good for people particularly seeking a second career who have maybe been employed in another subject area, or maybe retired from a different career, or just re-entering the workforce. So I do think that there are ways that the state is actually being proactive in addressing the need for teachers and kind of expanding the base of people who already live here, who have a home, who instead of having to look out further outside. So I do think there is some of that going on.
Ms. Oden?
Thank you. As a former teacher, I hear from teachers, and what I'm hearing is it's been a lot tougher since the COVID. And some teachers are thinking about retiring before they had planned on it. Having sat on the HR committee and interviewing candidates, finding a top candidate and losing them because of the pay scale in Nashua, we are losing high-quality candidates because of the pay we're offering. And in some cases, We're not losing to Massachusetts, we're losing to people in New Hampshire, to other districts in New Hampshire. And unless we address that, we're not going to be able to attract the people we would like. And I know a lot of people don't like to talk about the money, but it's a fact that people moving in here are having a hard time paying rents if they're not buying a house. And we have to address that issue. Thank you.
Yeah, I just, because this is kind of a passion project for me in regards to getting people into Nashua and staying in Nashua, but realistically, if you look at the starting pay of teachers, even with a master's, you're looking at $44,000 a year. And if you're paying $2,800 a month for an apartment, you're living off of $10,000 a year, which, throw in a kid or two in daycare, you're negative $30,000 a year. So that's just, it's no fun. Ms. Brown?
I think you make an excellent point. It is something that we that is something that we advocated heavily around from the administrative standpoint with the previous teacher's contract. And also, hopefully, I know I won't be around, but I'm hoping someone else will take it up. The starting pay and the upper level pay for teachers in Nashua is actually both comparable and superior to surrounding areas. But it takes a lot of steps to get there. What happens is people go next door to Hollis and they can get to the same, actually lower top pay than we have here in Nashua, but they can get there in 12 years instead of getting there in 18 or 20. So our top pay is actually pretty good pay in Nashua, $90,000, $100,000, which is sustainable, manageable. But it takes too long to get there, so we really need to address the number of steps to take to the top. Additionally, we need to raise that bottom step up significantly because we end up doing one of two things. We do hire fresh kids out of college, they get trained here, and then they leave because then they've got a couple steps and they can go anywhere around here or even over the border in Massachusetts. Or they don't even start here anyway because they can start in any other school district. And when you've got a huge deficit of teachers all throughout the state, they can go get jobs anywhere else. So I would recommend that that's something you really address moving forward, is to look at that starting teacher salary and also the number of steps it takes to get to the top.
Or create housing incentives where we can live off of $44,000 within Nashua. Oh, at election time, isn't this fun? Ms. Johnson?
Thank you. Ms. Oden, Ms. Brown made excellent points here because I remember even when I was back on the board, we talked about the starting pay was too low, and that was much lower then than it is now. And how do you create affordable housing? Well, first of all, you'd have to build new homes here, but that's not going to happen because we're at build-out. When I was on the board of Aldermen and I left in 2005, we were at build-out and we're still at build-out. So we're putting apartments up. And the apartments are no more affordable than the homes. And if you look at them downtown and you look at it on Pine Street, and I guess there's another big development going on off Canal Street, and that's not going to be in that affordable range most likely either. I mean, we're putting up a lot of apartments, but then when we put up, and that's great, we're talking about the salaries, the homes, but we also have to look at this declining population now. How are we going to bring our kids back into the system? But if you look at reports, the apartments do not bring in the students. It is the homes that bring in the students. And we're not putting in any new homes because us baby boomers aren't getting rid of what we have. We're holding on to the money here. And that's the truth. And that's what the reports are showing, that we're holding on to what we have because we have no place to go. Where are we going to go? And so unless we let our homes go, you're going to have to build more single-family homes, and that's not happening in Nashua. There is no more room in Nashua. So we have to think out of the box. How do we attract more families in here so we bring the kids back into the schools, and then we start looking at the salaries, and we have to, of course, the housing. I mean, this has been going on when I was on the board in 2005, affordable housing. And I would say, what's affordable? Well, we took $200 off the rent. That wasn't affordable back then, like it's not going to be affordable now. Take $200 off the rent, that's not even going to buy you groceries a week, maybe 1 week if you're lucky. So I think there's a lot that has to be looked at. And I think probably the Board of Ed, probably with the aldermen, need to sit down collectively and come up with some type of a plan that we work together on how to bring families back into the city. Because once the population drops in the schools, well, we're going to have empty buildings. And that's not what we want. We want families and students in this system. Thank you.
Sarfty, and then Dr. Sarfty and Ms. Gilio.
Yep, I just wanted to, okay. I just wanted to highlight a resource that we have in this district, and that's Diane Vino, who is one of our peer coaches. Diane has, for a very long time, had a great relationship with the DOE, and she has worked with our office to help teachers become certified, to be recertified, and with a number of Alt 4 certifications that new teachers are pursuing now, it's a lot of work. So Diane has worked tirelessly with new hires so that they can actually obtain certification and then stay here for more than a year. So I just want to make sure that we acknowledge that and recognize the work that she's doing, because without her, we wouldn't be able to secure all of those teachers.
Side note, she was my first favorite teacher at Elm Street 100 million years ago. She did this neat experiment where she held a bag of water over a kid's head and then slammed a pencil through it. And because of science, it didn't explode or go anywhere. It was the coolest thing. I was like, oh, science is fun. So, okay, so we'll continue on. I want to apologize, Dr. Sarfty. You did send out that Google document, but it didn't get to the full board. It only got to the committee. So Neil just forwarded it to us.
I apologize. I realized that. Can I just super quickly, 11 out of 12 schools have chorus during the school day. Dr. Crisp what they have written here is that it's in process. They're working on developing a chorus program for the school that works for their community. I know Mount Pleasant worked to create a program that works for them. It's hard for people to get out at night, walk in the snow, so they altered their program, specifically their concerts, so that families could come during the day. And then with regard to band, we have 5 schools offering band during the day. A 6th school offers whole band or ensemble during the day and then lessons after school. And then we also have 5 more schools that offer band before school. And then I'm seeing 1 more school that offers it after school.
Okay, fantastic. I like those numbers. Thank you. Okay. No, it's okay, and I'm sure stuff happens. We can always fix it. Okay, so Committee on Human Resources, that's done. Thank you. Liaison reports. I'm assuming you did the JSSBC. I was out sick.
Yes. Well, first of all,
must have been
Franklin
fun.
Street was dedicated the other day, and it was, I guess it was a really nice ceremony. I was not able to attend, but it looked like everyone had a good time. Let's see. We're getting closer to getting done at McCarthy. The furniture will be installed in 3 of the different areas, May 1st to June 15th of 2024. And then the final area, which is where the cafeteria, the gym, and like the real, like the public area of the school, they will have their furniture installed June 1st to July 1st, and then it'll be all ready. The fairgrounds track was resurfaced and restriped. McCarthy, the utilities are ongoing. The baseball and softball fields are being touched up. And the exterior sidewalks will hopefully be completed this fall. And I think... one thing about Birch Hill and Main Dunstable, we have the temporary classrooms set up in the gymnasium, and so they are installing sound boards from the ceiling to cut down on like echoes and stuff. And so in that process, that project is moving along quite well. So that's it. Thanks.
Thank you. Okay, this brings us up to new business. So I will give the floor over to Dr. Andrade.
Can I?
Oh, sorry.
Can I make a motion to go to enter non-public under RSA 91A32A.
Want to do that after we do the AFSME?
Oh, I mean, sure, whatever, yeah, I guess.
Back to you, Dr. Andrade. Or Mr. Donovan.
Yes, I'll speak to the the sidebar agreement with AFSCME. When we completed the last union collective bargaining agreement with AFSCME, the position of the delivery driver, there's one of them, it ended up on a step 4. We sort of redid the steps. That ended up being the same level as a head custodian at a middle school. So I think most people got together and said, that's really not, that pay rate is significantly higher than it should be. So we met in an impact bargaining agreement with the union. They agreed to take the position from a 4 down to a 3. I would rather have it as a 2, but we got down to a 3. In turn, we agreed to increase the stipends for the CDLs. So those are the gentlemen that drive the large trucks. And there's more training that's required for those now. So we increased, there's 2 types of CDLs, an A and a B. So we're going to increase the stipends, 65 cents per hour for the B and 90 cents per hour for the A. We only have 1 A and we have, I believe, 4 Bs. It's up to the district to define how many of these positions we need. But basically, the increased cost there is basically made up in the savings because of the lower pay for the delivery. So that was the gist of it. We also changed the paid vacation piece. The contract currently says you cannot take time off the week before school starts. There's another clause in the contract. Now it says you can if you ask and it's approved. So we can still say no. And basically, if your school isn't ready, we'll say no. If your school is ready, we'll allow it. So that's pretty much what the agreement is. So we'd like the board to approve this sidebar, and we can move ahead with those changes.
Is anybody's salary currently affected by lowering the step?
The individual that the delivery driver left, and so the person that's in that job is a temp and isn't actually even making the rate. So yeah, it won't.
I would just hate to take money away from somebody already earning it.
Yes.
On a whoopsie.
Yeah, no, that was one of the reasons why we did it when we did it.
Okay, perfect, perfect. I appreciate that. Ms. Raymond?
I have a question on the Appendix C, the stipends for the CDL licenses. Is that only for people who are driving the trucks as part of their job description, or does it cover anyone in the contract who also happens to have their CDL license? Because some people have it because they also, do snow plowing or something on their off hours.
Yeah, no, the only people in the union that have it, they're groundsmen. So they're the only ones that have it. They're the only ones that are going to receive it. If a custodian happens to have it but doesn't use it working for us, they certainly wouldn't get it.
Okay, thank you.
Any other comments? Nope. Okay, so I'm looking for, I'll make the motion to approve the sidebar agreement between the AFSCME union and the National School Board.
Second.
Oh, like everybody. Up goes the weasel. I'll say Miss Gilio because we made eye contact first. Okay, any other comments or questions? Seeing none, all those in favor of approving the sidebar agreement, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes.
Okay, so should I go make a motion now? Okay, so I'd like to motion to enter non-public under RSA 91A32A.
I'll second it, but I'm wondering if we want to do, since we're at the end of the meeting, if we want to do public comments first and then do that or not.
It's up to you guys.
I mean, we only have 3 guests, but I don't want them to have to wait in the hall.
Yeah. Okay, so to go into
Have people signed up?
okay, we have people signed up. So are you guys okay with doing public comment first, and then do we want to do board member comments, or come back out and do board member comments? Okay, I'm not thinking.
Yeah, because I think we still have another vote to take.
Right, there's another vote to take, but I want to be respectful of time. Okay,
I think, are we going to be brief in non-public? Could we just keep the agenda order? Would it keep us moving better in non-public if we do that?
yeah, we never know. I see an adorable face that probably needs to get home at an appropriate time. That's me. Kidding, just Miss Brown's daughter is in the audience. Okay, we'll be respectful of your time too. Okay, so I guess we'll do public comment first, and then we'll go into the non-public. So first up is Ms. Short.
Yeah. Laura Short, 38 Hawthorne Drive. I'm here to celebrate Mount Pleasant for y'all. So, for starters, to do a little bit about our PTO and brag about the things we've been doing. We did have our successful color run recently. Thank you to the Board of Ed members who did come and attend. Hopefully you didn't get too colorful, but I hope you got a little bit. Had tons of fun out on the front lawn, really enjoyed it, had a great time. This past Friday, we had our spooktacular meet and treat. I would say probably about 2/3 of the school was there. Not only current students, we had alumni from Mount Pleasant who were there, lots of families, community members. I saw some of my Amherst students who came over to enjoy it as well. Spectacular event, really enjoyed that our community was able to be there all together. There is definitely more that we have coming up. We are hoping to have an event every month. So please follow us on Facebook, and please know, my other Board of Ed members, I know that we had heard from you saying, well, if it's in the middle of the day, it's a little challenging. We hear you. There are other events that we will be having where they will be more evening events, so it is an opportunity. So those invitations will be forthcoming. As far as what we are doing in school, all of the elementary schools, and I believe all the other schools actually did wrap up a Red Ribbon Week. Our celebration was wonderful. We had different spirit days, but all of it encompassing healthy choices. We actually decided to have from now on where every single Thursday is a thoughtful Thursday for us. So we will be kind of embracing that as a weekly thing. Myself and the librarian had in the past, other PE and library teachers in the past had done the Silver Knights Ticket to Read program. In reaching out to Josie from the Silver Knights, I had connected with her and realized this is something we hadn't done, but her and I are trying to get our students back in that to enhance a little more literacy, but also give them a chance to be able to get over to the games with their families and friends, so they can earn tickets just because they're reading and exercising their brain, which is an amazing thing. Our Cliff Year of the Book is going wonderfully, absolutely amazing. We have had Matt in once. We have him coming again on the 28th from 8:30 to 11, so I'm sure Nicole, our librarian, will be informing you of that. But the children loved it. They all got books then. They've been really just encompassing. I had a student who shared his book with me so that I can read it myself and give it back to him. So just really a wonderful thing that we've been having for us. And then just a little toot to my horn, I actually was able to secure a $2,300 grant through the American Heart Association. I work very closely with them with the Kids Heart Challenge, but with the American Heart Association itself, I did secure a somewhat of a grant to do a Teamwork Makes the Dream Work grant. So it helps our students to kind of learn how to work together just a little bit better in a physical setting, but still be able to enhance their ability to work one another, not only for themselves, but then they can take that and they can use that in the community as they move out forward. So more to come, and we'll continue sharing. Thank you, friends.
Yeah, don't. New system, it stays on.
Yes. Ms. Alex Homola, come on up.
Hello. Alex Amola, 6 Ayer Street, Nashua. I just, as you guys were talking about meetings and agendas and things, it occurred to me that the last meeting was canceled and I was unaware, so I awkwardly stood in the lobby and was like, why is nobody here? And then I found out why. So food for thought that when you subscribe to the calendar, it adds it to your lovely Google Calendar if you use that like I do, but it doesn't actually delete it or update you in any way. So unless you visit the website, which I don't have cell service in this school, you don't know. So, food for thought as maybe we can change how that kind of syncs with people's calendars. I know Ms. Johnson has also talked about like people attending these meetings more, and for me, sort of finding that information on when and where the meetings are is overwhelming and confusing if you're not used to looking for it. Now I'm used to it, but just something there that I think for newcomers it can be kind of intimidating. So that's all.
Thank you. I actually just addressed that and said I have an idea. I'll present it in like a month and a half. Okay. All right, thank you guys. That was it for public comment. So we go back to our motion to go into non-public, which needs to be roll call vote, so.
Okay. All right, Ms. Starling?
Yes.
Ms. Raymond?
Yes.
Mr. Claffey?
Yes.
Ms. Brown?
Yes.
Ms. Oden?
Yes.
I'm a yes. Ms. Johnson?
Yes.
Ms. Bishop?
Yep.
Ms. Gilio?
Yes.
It is 7:41. We are now in non-public. Okay, so we are now back in public. I'm looking for a motion to seal the minutes.
So moved.
Second.
Wait, it needs to be under
Got
which
the
number?
RSA.
Which, it says it right on the non-public thing. It tells you pick 1, 2, or 3.
Oh, hold on, I don't have the second page.
I don't know why they include that public part of it on the non-public template. It's annoying, but that's where it goes.
So would it be RSA 91A33I, R1?
What do
I don't know, read it.
Yeah.
Motion made to seal these minutes because it is determined that divulgence of this information likely would affect adversely the reputation of any person other than a member of this board, render a proposed action ineffective, or pertains to preparation or carrying out of actions regarding terrorism.
I would go with 2.
Yeah.
Second one, because we talked about contract type stuff. And you don't do contract type stuff in public.
So 2, the second one.
Okay, so the motion was made by
Johnson.
Johnson, seconded by Ms.
seconded it.
Gilio to seal the minutes under RSA.
90, under RSA 91A332, render a proposed action ineffective.
Yep.
Then roll call.
Yep.
Ms. Darling?
Yes.
Ms. Raymond?
Yes.
Mr. Claffey?
Yes.
Ms. Brown?
Yes.
Ms. Oden?
Yes.
I'm a yes. Ms. Johnson?
Yes.
Ms. Bishop?
Yes.
And Ms. Gilio?
Yes. Okay.
And it passes. Okay. So,
Okay. So now we're back to normal.
okay.
Yeah, it's weird. There are like 3 different papers. So we are back in regular meeting. So I am looking for a motion to authorize compensation of $4,200 to Dr. Sarfty for the 2022-2023 school year.
So moved.
Second.
Julia, thank you, Mr. Claffey. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. So we are now into board member comments. I'll start over here this time. Christina, board member
No
comments.
comment.
Okay. Heather, Ms. Raymond?
No, just everybody be safe tomorrow. Trick or treating, 6 to 8. We got nothing else today.
Pass.
Pass. Ms. Lampier?
Oh, I just wanted to say that I've been following the schools, some of the schools on Instagram, and it's really cool to see what the kids are up to and how much fun they have at school and how hard the teachers and staff work to make the schools a good community. So I would encourage anyone to follow the schools on Instagram.
Thank you. Ms. Brown?
No comment.
Ms. Johnson.
I just want to wish everybody good luck next Tuesday, and I want to say thank you to our veterans out there, because Veterans Day is coming. Thank you.
No comment.
Julia?
I think I'm done for tonight.
As am I. Have a happy Halloween. And I'm not cool enough to go on Instagram that much, but I'll definitely check it out. All right, guys, I'm looking for a...
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Thank you, Ms. Johnson. Thank you, Ms. Gilio. All those in favor of adjourning, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes. It is 8:35. Go home.